Good morning and welcome to our live talk program. This is Lloyd Grubb here, your host on Revive Reform Radio, doing our live talk program, covering current events on this your Thursday, and we're looking at a topic. Our agenda and terminal point is different, so choose wisely. So our agenda and terminal points, if you want to pluralize that, are different. So choose wisely. So welcome again, top of the morning to you here, and we're doing our live talk. Let us pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, I thank you for your word, and this day I pray that you may bless us as we study together. May you bless my mind as I try to communicate these thoughts, and those listening, may you be with them. I pray for Christ's sake. Amen. So our terminal point and agenda is different. So choose wisely. Our terminal points and agenda are different. So choose wisely. And so we have to choose wisely in this world. Various different things because we are have a different process. Our process is different, and because our process is different, then that would make it that our terminal point has to be different, and because our terminal point is different, then our choices are different, and we choose in a different way. So that's what I want to communicate to you as we continue our theme for this week. Our theme for this week has been, as much as light in your power, you should press for success without dependent on system or being dependent on system that are not built for you. They are there as a means to an end, and sometimes best ignored. So it depends on the system you're looking at. They're there just simply as a means to an end. They're there for a purpose, and you have to be able to know what that purpose is and how does that fit your terminal point or your agenda. What is it that you're trying to accomplish? And you use the systems in that sense because you are not so dependent upon the system. You have an independent way of looking at life and different terminal point of where you're trying to get to. So because of that, then it creates a different mode of how you do life. And so we do life differently and we get different results or better results. We're trying to get better results. And so we live by different and better principles. So with that in mind, I'll go to my main text, which is Proverbs chapter 9, verse 10 through 12. Proverbs 9, verse 10 through 12. And it says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. For by me thy days shall be multiplied, and the years of thy life shall be increased. If thou be wise, thou shalt be wise for thyself. But if thou scornest, thou alone shalt bear it." So you want to be able to be wise, and you want to be able to gain as much knowledge and understanding you have so you can be successful in this life. Remember, everything we do today is forward looking, and that's why it's good to study history so we can look backwards to see what decisions they made and how did it pan out. And also then we look to prophecy so that we can understand and start think of in a prophetic way. So it's one thing to study prophecy to find out what prophecy says, it's another thing to think in a prophetic way. As the saying goes, that if to be forewarned is to be forearmed. So when we study history, we find what choices were made and how did they pan out. So we can make our choices day to day by those historical data. But then we look to study prophecy so we can think forward. But everything we do, we have to do it with the intention of what happened tomorrow because we're building always a better. So we build the foundation we keep building, building, building. And as we get older, we're supposed to be building for a better tomorrow. So we do things that will give us good results tomorrow. Now, a secular person doesn't understand this, a person that studied the Bible, and even people in the church don't understand this. This might be nuance for people in the church for years. They just never hear people think this way. But how my thinking is that everything you do when we talk about current events, the results that we see today are choices that were made yesterday, good and bad. And so you want to learn how to make the good choices because you're building a better tomorrow, because we have to live tomorrow. People say, I want to live my life to the fullest. Well, the way to live your life to the fullest to me is to constantly making adjustments and making moves that are going to make tomorrow better, because to live the life to the fullest is not so much where I'm at today, is where I'm going to be tomorrow. And so in everything we do, yesterday I cover health. A lot of results that we see today is because of choices people made yesterday and the day before and years before. And so if you're looking for future, Well, you want to be able to make wise choices because, as the Bible says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. You want to understand life this way because, you, as I say, a lot of current events are simply choices that were made years ago and they backfired, or they pan out and yield much fruit. So then you say, okay, so I know how to prepare for my future. And I know we don't know what tomorrow brings. You don't know if you're gonna even listen to me here tomorrow if I died today. But just in case we live to see tomorrow, then we want to know, what am I doing for myself for tomorrow? You know, in societies that are actually some of the poorest societies, you find that whatever they work today or this week is what they eat this week. They don't work for tomorrow. But the whole concept of being a farmer, concept of being an investor, builder, a carpenter, a plumber, whatever the person is doing, is that they're working for tomorrow's or next week pay. So we work today and we get paid in the future. But what if you can say, what if I work this month and the money I'm going to make, I'm going to have enough to last me even 2 months from now? Well, what if I make enough money and I start to put aside some of the money that I make so that 10 years from now, I have money I could live on for 10 years straight? Well, that's what people call a retirement fund, isn't it? So what you're doing is that you're working, and part of your working, you started thinking the future. But somebody said, well, Lloyd, I don't know if I'm going to live to see retirement. Well, you didn't know if you're going to live to see today, did you? And I don't. So again, choices that I made when I was in my 20s, I get the fruit of it today. And choices that you made in your 20s, or whatever, good or bad, you're getting the fruit of it today. So then you start thinking, well, what if I live to see the next 20 years? What happened? And so you start to think like that. 5 years from now, 10 years, 15 years from now. You start to think like that. And if you think like that, then your future could be a bright future. But if you don't think like that, you could be like somebody 20 years ago or 10 years ago, they were making certain choices. And now you see them on the side of the street begging bread. And you say, what happened? And you can trace it back. You know, one of the saddest stories that I read a few years ago that brought tears to my eyes. It was so painful because the person had killed themselves somewhere out west. I think it's in Washington State. And they jump off of a parking garage and commit suicide. And they interviewed the family, and the family described how he went from a teenager to a certain path that led him down to drugs and stuff like that. And he decided he's going to end it. But it was a painful story. But you see someone on the side of the street, but sometimes you're not calculating that they have a story that led them to a certain path. It could be tragedy, or it could be just hunting after a high. And that's the end result. And the end product was suicide. And you see that, and it's a tearjerker because you read it, it put flesh on those bones, and make you see that it's a real person with a real life story that made choices that the end result of that choices were not good. So when we're making choices, and we have to think about it. Okay, when I do this, how does it affect me tomorrow? When I do that, how does it affect me tomorrow? Because we might live to see tomorrow, and most of us do live to see tomorrow. The average person in the world, the death rate is only a small percentage of the amount of people living on the planet. So most people live out what the Bible says, probably 70 years on an average. So if you're going to live that long, then hey, you want to be able to make choices that are going to be able to bless you that long. So it says, for by me thy day shall be multiplied. So there are things we do for health. There's things we do socially. There are things we do when we talk about how we choose where we live. Because those choices can extend your life. Literally, just the way you choose your location you live can extend your life. That's just a fact. Yeah, I mean, practically, choosing if you live in a floodplain or not, choosing if you have to put in extra hours at work so you can make enough money, so you don't have to live in a ghetto, so that you don't duck bullets or get shot while laying on your bed. Now, could you get shot in any environment? Yes, but your chances are greatly increased depending on your location. So, as somebody would say, I prefer to work 2 jobs, 3 jobs, to not live in that neighborhood. And by doing that, somebody increased their life. While statistically, not my opinion, or statistically, people live in certain neighborhoods get worse outcomes. Just by moving to a certain neighborhood, you could get your children in a certain school. You could be able to get in a certain environment where you have better opportunities. You can walk free. So some people be like, no, I'll make the effort. Other people are like, I can't make that effort. And then they end up in an environment where their kids have asthma because of all the pollution, because they live near industries, It's cheaper, but those are choices we make. So when we're making choices that bless us or curse us for tomorrow. Because my choices today could affect me immediately. There's some things we do, like you read the Bible. The Bible does have stories where people are strike down immediately, but those are rare stories. There's not a lot of stories you can recount from your mind or study through and find that happened. A lot of time, God gives a massive amount of patience and time with people to get it right. So God is very merciful, even when we cause others harm. Doesn't mean that God excuse criminality, but that God is merciful. And so, because of that, thy years shall be multiplied. And if thou be wise, thou shalt be wise for thyself. But if thou scornest, thou shalt bear it alone. So when you're wise for yourself. As I say, when you eat some food, the food is going to your stomach. So if you say, well, I'm eating for tomorrow, then what kind of food you would eat? See, a lot of this is current events. So if I say, listen, I see a lot of people statistically dying of cancer around me. And so I don't want to die of cancer. So I want to eat a diet, which is a plant-based diet that will decrease your chance of having your cancer 10 times. People who eat a meat-based diet, they have a lot of cancer. That's just a fact. So you're eating for tomorrow. If you want to be able to maintain your physicality, and you want to do that, then you want to be able to exercise. You want to be able to take supplements, herbs. You want to be able to do certain things so that as you get older, instead of you being funeralized, you're going to people's funeral because you're taking care of yourself. As I said before here, when I was younger, somebody said to me, Lloyd, when you get to my age, you'll be going to a lot of funerals. And I said, really? They said, yeah. He says, I have to go to a lot of funerals because a lot of people around me are dying. I remember another person I work with, they said, Lloyd, when you reach my age, if you're single, you're going to be in trouble. I said, why? Because there's not a lot of people that you can date that's even healthy and even look good. And I said, really? And he said, yeah, there's not, the choices become narrow if you want to date somebody your age, he was saying. So I was like, fascinating. So, those thoughts ignored. My brain kind of just filed them away. And then as I'm getting older now, those thoughts started to be like, wow, these guys were right, but these were older men, And then it's the same thing. If when you get to a certain age, you start to visit people in the hospital a lot. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, you see. And here am I. You're getting older, so I realized a lot of choices that we make, we're just making future choices. And so what we want to be able to do is that we want to educate ourselves. Want to educate ourselves so that we educate for the future, because as we get older, it's better to be wiser and better to have more knowledge and understanding so we don't live like fools and die like fools. We want to be able to be spiritual people, so hence the system of church, books, theologians, everything. We use everything. We see them as a terminal point. Our terminal point is different. We're trying to have a very three-dimensional, even four-dimensional, because we believe in spirituality, experience where we succeed in a four-dimensional way. So from us, like other people, it's just finance and health and stuff like that. But for us, we go deeper. We deal with morality and spirituality. The whole man, we deal with, not just the physical. And so church, Bible, sermons, prayer, all these things, spiritual exercises, singing melody in our hearts, makes it very important for us to be able to succeed and succeed in a very beautiful way. Health become important to us, so we exercise. We make sure that we get our checkups at the doctor. I need to go visit my doctor. Juicing, supplements, herbs, all those things that we do. Why we're doing that? Because we're making future decisions. We're trying to be able to say, listen, I want to know, where I'm at all times, so that if I have to readjust something, if I have to increase in a nutrient, decrease in a nutrient, I want to be able to know. I want to be able to make sure that says I don't have to wait until I'm rusted, I'm busted. I want to be able to prevent, because an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. Our financial health, I'm going to more deal with this to a certain degree here. Our investments, our investment vehicles, our jobs, our career. We always want to be able to finesse whatever career or job we're doing, get better at it and be very good at it. And then we also want to get new skills. I always believe in getting new skills. But one of the principles I believe in, I remember I read this book years ago, and I kind of accept the principles where it is multiple streams of income. It's always important to have more than one way to make money. And so If you have one stream of income, you need to even have a second one that you have even on the side, even if you're not going to use it, just even as a hobby. You have multiple ways of making money. And this could be just investment vehicles. In other words, you could just be a person that invests in a business. You have a Airbnb, a rental apartment, something else. It's just another stream, something else that even if it's $5 coming in, at least it's $5 coming in. You have something. It's a stream, and so it could be a tributary, it could be a little stream, it could be a little spring, it could be it could be nice if it was like the Amazon, where your secondary stream of income. You said to me, Lloyd, I want to show you the Amazon. You sent me a video of the Amazon. And I said, really? That's a beautiful river. And you said to me, that's how the second stream of income is flowing. I was like, really? This guy is like the Amazon. The money just flows. It's like, it's massive. And I said, but it's calm. And I said, yeah, it's so calm because it goes down feet. It's like deep. You see, that's how you need to do life. No, what you're doing when you have that, you're doing life and you're getting better results, right? Your results are going to be better because your terminal point is different. You see, when you deal with the secular world, they don't think in this broad 3 dimensional. I just say four because we into spiritual dimensional way of thinking. We have a different methodology, and so our agenda, our terminal point is different. You see, our terminal point is we succeed and we excel at various different areas. So we have to be able to think this way. So we have to juggle more than one things. That's the process. So books, we partake of financial books, or books just gonna make you think about success, because we're not trying to just exist. We're trying to ace life. A life to me is like a video game. It's just the difference is our life is we're playing the video game, but we're like a hamster running in that little thing that they spin that little wheel. And so as we spin it, but we just don't want to spin the wheel for exercise because somebody put us there to spin it. We want to spin the wheel, and when we're spinning the wheel, what's coming out of that wheel is money. What's coming out of it is health. What's coming out of that wheel is electricity, all kind of stuff coming out of it, because we understand that we are here to succeed and to excel. That's what God put us there. God says, be fruitful and multiply. God says, dress it and keep it. So we live by those principles. Everything we do, we try to make it better. And we try to work on what we have, work from where we're at, and then spread out. And then we do life with discernment. Discernment is simply, to me, this word discernment can be misunderstood. I think this idea in life, what you're trying to do is you're trying to deal with the best people you can deal with. And how you really do that is just you recognize that character is more important than anything else. As I say, I can teach you a bunch of things, but character is more important. An honest person, you need to keep always around you. Honest people, people of integrity, people who don't buckle under pressure. All right. And those are the type of people you want around you, because those people are golden. And that's what years of experience have taught me. People who are honest and decent people, you want around you. And so that's what discernment is. Discernment is just being able to quickly or slowly, but somehow find out who's honest, who has integrity, and deal with those people. Some people, it's not that they can't understand doctrines or Bible. It's just that they have no honesty. They're not honest with the word and not honest with life. They like to talk a lot of spiritual mumbo jumbo about don't judge and stuff like that. This is silly people. You just quickly, when you hear people start talk like that, you run from them. So wisdom is comes by knowledge, understanding, and experience, and then experience come also. We need to be experienced. In Proverbs 16, verse 26. Proverbs 16, verse 26, as I look at the topic here, our agenda and terminal point is different. And so we have to choose wisely what we're doing. And I just gave you some quick note. We are forward looking. Proverbs 16, verse 26 says, he that laboreth for himself, for his mouth craveth it of himself. And so all what we're doing here is going to benefit us, but we're benefiting tomorrow. That means, when you're 10, if you do life a certain way, you can benefit yourself to 20. When you're 20, you do life a certain way, you can benefit yourself to 30. Each stage is a stepping point, and you can get better and better and better at it. And so you always notice somebody that has a talent, and if they excel at that talent, and they exceed others at a talent, they can do very well for themselves right out the gate. 20, they're making literally millions, because people pay them for that talent, because the talent is so good. So you always want to build your talents up and then acquire new talents so that you can have new talents. And as I always say, some of our talents, which is one of the things I'm talking about current events, some of our talents are here and they're there just for our own benefit and pleasure. Does that make sense? So again, if you're into like going to gardens and you like to look at beautiful flowers, that's something that if you've grown accustomed to it, that can beautify your life, but not necessarily going to bring you money. No, yeah, if you go and start to do the garden and then do it for other people and then they pay you, that's a different story. But there's some things you do, it is just for the enrichment of life. And so when you ace in life, you want to be able to have multiple things that you do and multiple interests, and it enriches your life. There's some people that they're one tracked, and the reason why they're one tracked because they probably only have one interest and their life can be enriched. In Psalms 37, verse 37 and 38, Psalms 37, verse 37 and 38, it says, "Mark the perfect man, and behold the upright, for the end of that man is peace. But the transgressor shall be destroyed together, and the end of the wicked shall be cut off." So, as my topic is, our agenda and terminal point is different. So, we choose wisely because we're choosing things that are going to give us peace. Because the Bible says there's no peace, says God, for the wicked. Wicked people have no peace. They either take away people's peace or they always depressed and look sad and look miserable. We don't want to go around with that. There's some people that have a permanent upside down smile on their face. It's permanently upside down because their life is bitter. And they're bitter, and is we don't want to have that experience. So we want to be able to do things that bring joy to our life. Now, is everything going to bring joy to our life? No, we're in a sinful world, and we even make bad choices. And we're not talking about make bad choices because we made a mistake. We sometimes just choose it wrong. Sometimes we can be a little bit stiff-necked and rebellious, like our brethren, like everybody else. But what I mean by that is that so life is not perfect. But what it is that when you go to your day and you try to do certain things and you get some good results, what it is that when you finish your day, there might be things that didn't go perfect. But what will happen? You'll have multiple things that's happening that you did well with. And it enrich your life, because what it is when you finish the year, there's going to be some things you look back and you say, I'm going to have to do that differently. But the most of what you're going to be doing each day is going to be, I got that and I got it good. And that's what you want to do life. And so when you do life like that, it will end up being, you don't have to live life with too much regrets. You're going to live life where, oh man, I'm hitting certain marks day-to-day basis. So that's why it's good if you're interested in multiple different things and you do the multiple different things, because you know, the process might be difficult, but the end result is beautiful. In other words, there's things that you do that you're never going to enjoy in the process. But the result, the aim of what you're trying to get out of it is the good part. So you go to work and you feel tired, right? You go to work, you feel tired. You're not like, oh man, I enjoy going to work and feel tired. So there's days you go to work and you don't feel tired, but there's some days you're going, you have to kind of push through. You're not enjoying that. There's a lot of things in life we do that there's no fun in it. I like to take my herbs without a capsule. I sometimes take capsules, but most of the time I don't. Right? And I take herbs daily, sometimes multiple times for the day. So do I enjoy that? No, never ever experienced. As a matter of fact, I'm a person that not necessarily will gag easily, but I have a very difficult thing with things that are lumpy. And if you know what I'm talking about. So porridge, certain porridge. I don't know if they use the word porridge over here in America. Can't remember what the word they use, but it's a cooked cereal where you cook the cereal and eat it. But when you have lumps in it, it'll make me actually feel like I want to gag. I don't like lumpy stuff in my mouth. So sometimes I take herbs, I don't stir it with like a spoon or a fork. I just spin it in the cup with a little bit of water, just a small amount of water, as small as I can. And then I drink it. Never enjoy that. It just tastes horrible. And that's just a fact. But what am I doing it for? For a good result. So there are things you do in this life that it will not be, most of the time, almost all the time, most of these things that we do for good results, it will not be pleasant. But we understand, by the sweat of your brow you eat bread. Thorns and thistles shall it bring forth to thee. You have to take greens because you need healing. There's people like, I don't like anything green. They're going to die. they're going to live a terrible life. They're going to have a lot of diseases. That's just a fact. And they'll be like, I need purified stuff from the pharmaceutical company. Go and get it. But that's not going to work. When you go exercise, there's a certain point where you need to get to that you're going to have to sweat and you're going to have to feel pain. That's not enjoyable unless you're somebody that really have high tolerance for pain and you really love pain. I don't know if I've ever met somebody like that, but I'm sure people like that are out there. But there's a certain point where they're going to feel the burn. Now, you're not be like, oh, I love the burn. No, you love the results of the burn. So when the burn comes, you don't say, oh man, I'm looking forward to the burn. Only way you look forward to the burn because you know the results of it. You know, like they say, listen, this is where things get real. And this is where now I'm start hitting my limit and I know I probably need to go 5 more minutes, 2 more minutes, 5 more, whatever that is. And you push that thing and then you have to recover. You don't enjoy the recovery and the pain from the recovery, but you like the results that you see and feel. When you look at the results and you feel the results, you'll be like, I like that. But you don't like the pain. You like the process. The process is not necessarily enjoyable, but the results you like. So when you get trained to a point where your terminal point and you end at your agenda, when I say agenda, I mean something like a negative thing. I mean your agenda is, say, fitness or increase health or increase brain flow. You want your brain to flow a certain way. You'll go through that process, but you're not necessarily enjoying the process. But people who they're stopped at the process and they can't go through the process because they can't get to the terminal point or they don't have a terminal point that we have, then life is difficult. But I'm saying to you here, you got to go through processes to get to a result. You know what I'm saying? I mean, would life be better if you never have to bathe again? I don't know. If we weren't in a sinful world, but we're in a sinful world, and so our bodies are constantly shedding and breaking down, and we're losing cells, and we're constantly replenishing. That's just the process. But the process of that replenishment is not necessarily pleasant, right? But the end result is pleasant. Again, you like eating food, but you might not like passing the food. But the end result is that protein has to be broken down to uric acid. You don't want to smell uric acid, but you want the protein to be broken down to build muscle. And so you go through the process, but the process might not be the most pleasant process. Try to make it plain to you here. But you go through the process. So when you go to the point where you love more the results than the process, then what it is that you deal with the process. The process is just a means to an end. Like my theme here for this week, it's just a means to an end. So you do life, you do things, you interact with things that you have to just deal with. And you have to figure out how to deal with it. Or you ignore it altogether and figure out a different process. But I'm going to encourage you here. You want a brain that works phenomenal, then thanks for joining with me here. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to teach you the philosophies that I think the brain needs to be able to live successfully. You want a body that's going to be healthy when you're going to have to go through a certain process. And you will get the results that others won't get because they're not going to go through the process. They're just not. And so your result is going to be different. And as a Christian, your result is supposed to be different because you profess higher principles, and you're supposed to be a higher critical thinker. And so your process is supposed to be different. So again, you look at that treadmill. The process is not pleasant. Now, if you're just going for a walk on the treadmill, well, I don't know what your aim is. You just want to burn some calories. You probably have time in your hand. I don't know you have that much time. But if you're going there for muscle to be created and fat to be burned, because fat has to be burned. Fat is going to be burned on a treadmill as you're walking or as you're doing a bicycle ride, or fat is going to be burned in hell. But fat has to be burned. And so if you're going in and you're saying, listen, that thing is not going to be pleasant. I'm going to get some burn right now, but I want the results. Then you're good. And your end result, I'm going to read the text again. Psalms 37, verse 37, say, mark the perfect man and behold the upright, for the end of that man is peace. Wait a minute. But in order for us to get to that peace, we have to go through discipline. And the discipline, most people, they don't like the discipline, but they want the results. And you will get the results, and they'll even be jealous of you and saying, why you have that result? But they're not jealous of the process. So when I see a person and they're exercising, they're playing basketball, they're jogging, riding a bicycle, lifting weights, whatever, You see the process and you'll be like, oh yeah, that person look ripped. That person looks sculpted. And you want that sculpting, but you don't want the process. So you don't get the process. You don't get the sorry, you don't get the sculpting. All right. A person have great health, but they'll take the herbs. So what it is, as I say, I prefer not to take too much capsules, but I take capsules. But sometimes I can't keep their popping opening capsules, or I don't want to chuck in all that much cap because I take a lot of herbs. For the a day I'll go through a lot of herbs, and so that's my result. So if you probably see me go through take herbs, you'd be like, man, that's a lot of herbs. Well, yeah, I do. I just pour it in. That's why I have to take it in water because I have to chug it in. But for me, I need to get it in my mouth and go through that pain. Listen, I said it before. Some of the worst herbs to take are herbs for parasite. Um, I all of a sudden I forget the name, but wormwood, and stuff like that. Herbs like that are for parasite. And guess what happened? They're some of the most scientifically, they're some of the worst tasting herb. Scientists have said they have some of the worst bitter principles in them. Very fascinating. It's the worst. I don't know what is it that it bitter so much that even the worms in your stomach say, "Listen, are your colon said we out, we ain't sticking around with this environment. This is terrible." But this is what you do, right? But you can. I've taken that stuff, whatever, and then but those herbs I just have to take them in capsules. It's just too bitter. But do I want the results? Yeah, I want the results. Am I gonna get the results? Yeah. So I read it again. It's important. The end is peace. You want peace in your life. There's certain things you must do, and you get the result. But some of those things they can be boring. They can be time consuming. But the end results are powerful. Psalms 37, verse 37 says, mark the perfect man and behold the upright, for the end of that man is peace. So you want peace in your life, well, you have to do things for peace. And you get peace. It's a guarantee, but you have to make the result. You have to work for it. So our agenda and our terminal point, where we end up, is different. And so we have to choose wisely. And when we choose wisely, then we make certain moves. And I must say, no pain, no gain, right? Somebody said, Lloyd, I'm looking at retirement. I'm like, yeah, so you have to make some sacrifices today. Somebody said, well, what if I'm not knowing if I'm going to live to see retirement? Sure. But what if you do? How many people right now, they're looking at retirement in the face, or they are retire, and they didn't make no plans because the end result was not going to be peace. How many people look at retirement right now and they never took care of their health? They never went through that pain on the treadmill, on walking, riding a bike, lifting weights. But what happened? Their retirement, then the health failed them. They didn't put in the work. So the end result, the terminal point, is not peace. We want our terminal point. Our agenda has to be, we understand these things and we want to be able to be successful. So it's a different way of thinking. As I said, there's things that we do that they're not pleasant, but we do it. There's people, think about a person living on the side of the street. They're not having a great experience, but they get up and they have to go to a job every day. And there's shortages of workers all over the United States, but they're on the side of the street. Somebody could say, Lord, it's mental health, or they have drug problems. So like, yeah, but are they enjoying life? I mean, they're living life high as a kite, so high that they could fly up to the sky, probably go to the moon, to the dark side of the moon, with the Indians and the Russians and the Chinese and Americans. But is their life happy? Do they have responsibility? Do they have pressure? No. When pressure comes, they'll smoke some weed or take some crack or meth, and they're good. But I have to go through the pressure. So your process is different. But your end result is when you come home, you come into a house. Somebody could say, nah, man, I'm not living that life. I want to live a life where I'm high every day and I'm drinking alcohol every day. Okay. But is their life peaceful? Is that a good result? Someone said mental health again. Many people get their mental health because they went down the drug and alcohol lifestyle in life. Whip them, whipping them, biting them. John chapter 14, verse 16 and 17 says, and I will pray the Father, and he shall give you another comforter, that he may abide with you forever. Even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it seeth him not, neither knoweth him. But ye know him, for he dwelleth with you, and shall be in you. So when we are baptized by the Spirit, we are baptized by fire. And we understand that to get to the result we need to get the dross burnt off of us, so that we can become fine gold. There's gold in it, in us. But what it is, we have to go through burning process. We got to go through the pain to get to the gain. And so we have a different process. We have a fourth dimension, so to speak. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but we have another dimension of thinking. We understand the process that when we are baptized, we're not baptized just by water. Well, some people just doing baptized by water. They need some soap and just to baptize them. But we're baptized by fire. What's the fire? The Spirit. We understand that we need some burning of the dross off of us. So some people like, I'm good. No, you're never good. You need more burning, because what happened, the more that fire burn by the Spirit is the more you go through that process, but the end product is gold. So we have a different terminal point. And while we're on the earth, our terminal point is that the Lord want to refine us. And we see this process, and we see the working of the Lord in our minds, in our lives. Time and chance happen to us, and when the time and the chance happen, we see an opening. And someone say, why you believe? I don't just believe because of the word. I believe because the Lord lined certain things up in my life when I need it, and gave me sometimes a sequence of events, and I can see it, and I can say, I think that's the Spirit working, but it's leading me to a better life. But the process might not be pleasant, but the end result is always great. And so we want that end result. We want that process to work so that we can do better, be better, because it's good for tomorrow. What I do today is good for tomorrow. What I eat for today is good for tomorrow. For somebody that, as I say, you probably know, I have allergy problems. I always have allergic reactions to all kind of stuff. But so what I realize with allergic reaction, if I feel something negative inside of me, in my body, in my skin, and whatever, so crawling. If I feel something negative, I don't think about what I ate today, unless it's very poisonous. And I know by now I don't eat those things. But I go back and I think, what did I eat 24 hours ago? What did I eat 48 hours ago? And then I say, oh, that's what it is. I made a bad choice there. I knew better. Or that thing is reacted negative on me. Or I hadn't had this in years. Wow, that's a bad result. See, so this is life. Our life is, we are what we ate literally 5 years ago, a year ago. Most of the time it's a year ago. Our body changes over about every year. I think the bone is the last thing to change, but it's constantly dying off and changing. I don't know how, but that's what they say. This is amazing. Our skin change, I think, the fastest. I think the tongue or the lips, the inside of our lips is a moist environment. And all the bacteria and stuff, it changes real quick. I think it's one of the fastest. So things are changing constantly in our body. So this preacher, I remember I used to listen to, love him, Louis Santi, I can't remember, Pastor Santi. He would say, what you need to do is catch the cells and convert them, baptize them and convert them as they're changing by flooding them with nutrients and stuff like that. So I had to repeat that, but I can't repeat that without saying that the person who gave it to me. A very fascinating thought, because it's constantly changing. So what you need to do, convert them to Jesus. No, convert them to nutrients, with nutrients. So as they change, but that process is a process going on. And where do you want to be a year from now? Where do you want to be a month, 6 months from now in your health? That's what you do. You say, oh, okay. So today you make those choices. A year from now, you get the result. A month from now, 6 months from now, 2 days from now. Everything we do today is future. Where you want to be financially? How much pain you're willing to take to get to that place? Do you need a second stream of income to get to that place? Do you need a hobby to get to that place? Do you need, some curtailing of your shopping to get to that terminal point? Do you have to say, well, I'm going to shop less this next year, and every month I'm going to take $50 or $100 that I used to shop with. I'm going to cut back my shopping. I'm going to invest that money in some investment account. And so I'm going to get 1 year's worth of interest, plus I'm going to build it up by adding $100 every month to that investment account. What will happen a year from now? You would have invested, if you did $100, you'd have invested $1,200. You have $1,200 in an investment account. If it's a interest yielding account, then you would have gotten, say it's 5%, you'd have gotten, what is that, $50, $60, something there, right? But it would be acute, so it's compounded. So you'd have gained that amount of money. So you have that money is just backup money. What does that do for you? Somebody said, no, $1,000, $1,000 $250, $60, whatever. It's not going to do anything for me. Yes, it's going to. That's money you didn't have before. But is the process pleasant? No, you have to have less shopping, less whatever. And you say, wow, now I have that much of money. Now, next year, you do the same thing. It's going to be growing. And then it's yielding interest. And then you do that for 5 years and you see how beautiful that will look, even $100. So somebody said, well, what are you doing? You make yourself, put yourself in a better position. It's always better because that's now something you have that's gaining interest, but it's also that's backup money if something goes wrong. You have it. If you don't have it, when something goes wrong, you just don't have it, right? And you see how things go wrong quick. You look at the current events right now. How many disasters are going on right now? Every one of those disasters, there's some people who are prep for the disasters and some people who are not prepped for the disaster. You want to be that person who understands that, say, you do life for tomorrow because tomorrow you know what could come. And especially for those of us who study prophecy, we know these things going to come. There's fires all over the place. There's heat. Look at the heat dome, right? So there's heat dome. The heat dome is resting on the Midwest all the way to Chicago right now. And it's going to be there until next week. So if you were broke and you couldn't pay for AC, air conditioning, you're just in trouble. And if you're living in an environment, an area where the utility company didn't prep up for a massive surge, you might be still have a air condition. You can still pay your bill, and you're still gonna be in trouble because the power is gonna go out. So what we do, we know that there's certain things that are happening, but God's people are supposed to get better results. So we're supposed to be always practicing and prepping and studying about it so that we can make our life better. But if you prepare for bad and bad doesn't come, you're even better. And in other words, if you have reserve money and an emergency doesn't happen, man, you're doing even better because you prepare for it and it didn't happen. It's better to be prepared than never to be prepared. So we live life looking at tomorrow and always prepping for tomorrow. As I say, when you go and exercise today, whatever you exercise, you're exercising for today, but you get the results a few days later. The results don't come immediately because now the muscle have been stressed. There's some destruction of muscle, all of that happen. Then the body has to repair and then have to resculpt you. And as you're getting resculpted, it takes a few days. And then if you keep doing that for a few weeks, a few months, after a while you see the result. And then somebody look at you and say, man, you look good. And you're like, oh yeah, I like that. I look good. I feel good also. But the process is painful. The process can be boring also. The process can be time consuming. But the process is needed. So we gotta love the process. Mark chapter 8, verse 34 through 37. Mark 8, verse 34 through 37. Now it says, and when he had called the people unto him with his disciples also, he said unto them, whosoever will come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. So this is Christ here speaking. And he says, if you want to come after him, you have to take up your cross, deny yourself, and follow him. And I realized this is really the process through success. You have to have self-denial. You have to be able to bear crosses. And when you do this, you're better for life and you're better for work. Just think about your work. The person that's going to be in it to win it is a better worker. Good help is hard to find because a lot of time people are not, so to speak, in it to win it. They're not dependable. They're not going to be there. Rain. What is that? Summer, sun. I blank on that one. So they're not going to be there through thick and thin, right? Now, why is that important? That's important to you and I because of this, right? You think about it. There's a lot of people out there that is simply they don't even show up. I'm pausing because there's a saying they have. I'm not gonna get it right, but you know the saying. They say, how they say it? They say, a big part of success is just turning up. Right? I'm sure you heard somebody say that. You just have to turn up because sometimes you just, oh man, I don't want to do this today, and you just turn up, and you turn up, and the big part of it is just turning up. There's some people that can't even turn up, much less to crank it up, and just get it going, knock it out of the ballpark. Sometimes you just need people to be their bodies, and you can't get the bodies, and you start realizing how difficult it is for some people just to turn up and just be there or be square. So when we look at Christ's methodology in this world of sin and this world where your effort, you have to, as I say, And the Lord says you have to be brave or courageous. I'm gonna talk about that. But you have, be of good courage. Yeah, have courage. Courage is not something that the Lord said, I'm gonna supernaturally bless you with it, so to speak. You have to. He said, you gonna have to be of good courage, be of good cheer. What? What? I thought my pastor taught me that said God is going to do everything for me. No, read the Bible. God says, listen, be courageous, fight the battles of the Lord. So you going out there today. What are you going out there today? You're going out there today and you understand that the Lord tell you that you have to pick up the cross. And somebody said, Lord, man, the cross is heavy, it's burdensome, and people going to be mocking me. Yeah, but your terminal point is different from theirs. Your end process and your end product and what you get in the end is different. They live in the life where they're not denying themselves no cocaine, no alcohol, no marijuana. And the end result is similar. It's always similar to the people who follow that type of end result or that process. Your process is like, no, I'll go through the discipline. I want my brain. I don't want no crack or cocaine in my brain so I can be insane. I know you know that word. So take up your cross, follow Jesus, and you'll get a better success because he's sitting on the right hand of the Father and he has success. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, but whosoever shall lose his life for my sake and the gospel, the same shall save it. You want to save your life? That's how you do it. As I say, you want to get the best life, you need self-discipline. You need to deny yourself. You need to pick up your cross. There's no solution. I could tell you, oh, here's a herb or here's a thing to lose weight. And there are. But I'm going to tell you, you still have to push away yourself from the table. You still have to have the discipline to say, I've had one plate too much. I'm not going to do 3 plates too much. Literally. You have to do that. There's just nobody can do that for you. You have to be able to do that for yourself. You have to be able to sometimes say, listen, I'm out. So that's what I'm saying, like the thing with the systems. You could have a system, and the system is there for your purpose and you use, but you realize that the system is going wrong. You'll be like, listen, I'm out. So again, if you want to save your life, you have to lose it. There's a lot of people that the only thing they need to do is have a philosophy that they're going to say, man, Lloyd, trust me, I enjoy 3 plates of food. 3. I don't mean 3 plates of food. I mean 3 mountains of food. But it's killing me. I'm 300 pounds. And Christ said, the only process that you need to understand, the only word you need to understand is deny. Deny. And the person said, but I really enjoy what I do. I'm like, yeah, you look it. But you have to deny. The end product going to be great if you deny yourself. But that's the only process. And you could buck against it. I could tell you a whole bunch of stuff. But you got to look at yourself in the mirror. And every day, you're going to have to say self-denial. Sometimes you have to talk to yourself. Just don't make anybody be around you when you do that because they might think you're crazy. So you have to say self-denial. No, I don't do that for myself. But I'm just saying, if you're at that level where you're doing 3-4 plates of food, you just have to say, listen, the only solution to this is that because you cannot exercise off 3 plates of food. You just can't do it. It's not possible. I mean, when you have the fitness to do it. I don't even know if people who are super athletes exercise 3 plates of food, 4 plates of food. So me talking to you, the only thing you need to do is you have to stop. You just have to stop, forget a better result. So you lose your life. And so you're eating for tomorrow, but you're eating for a famine. If you're eating 3-4 plates of food, you're eating for a famine. You're preparing for some famine that's coming. Probably tomorrow they declare a famine on the land, and you laugh at me and say, well, Lord, listen, you're going to starve because you didn't eat for famine, but I eat for famine. But this is all we have to do in life. And somebody say, well, don't you enjoy a plate of food? Yeah. Could you enjoy 2 plates of food? I don't know if I could do it now, but I'm just saying, yeah, I get it. I get the point, especially when the food tastes good. Yeah, I get it. But it's not for my positive best interest, and not for your positive best interest. But you don't have to go down and eat 900 calories. If you go on the news, you'll see what I'm talking about. But she said she don't eat 900 calories. They're spreading rumors on her. And I believe there's a spreading rumors on her. She don't like somebody to eat 900 calories. I don't know you survive on that. Notice verse 36. For what is it that what shall a man profit if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? So, you gain all the money in the world and you have no happiness. How many people today going to lose their life and they're rich as ever. They succeeded at the world and they're depressed. How many people today depressed, going around depressed, and they have it all, but they have not have really what life going to make them happy? Somebody said, Lloyd, come on, how can somebody be happy denying themselves and taking up the cross? It's an amazing thing, it's an amazing thing. But the way to simply understand it is to understand how you get to a healthy body. That's the quickest way to understand, easiest way. Ellen G. White says the gospel it can be easily understood through the health. Very fascinating. The health in the gospel, that's why the health is the right arm of the gospel. Because if you really want to understand how the mechanics of what we just read here, you got to understand health. When you understand how health comes about, and then you get to health, you understand, let's go back to it. Deny yourself, take up your cross, and follow Jesus. Huh? What we're talking about, health or gospel, same thing. It's one and the same. It's just easier to understand it from a health point of view than to understand it from a gospel point of view. Because if I said to somebody, denied bestiality, well, that's easy to understand. So that's probably not the best example. But deny yourself greed. Yeah. Because, the love of money is the root of all evil, or many evils. Somebody be like, yeah, but I need money. Sure. So it's hard to understand it that way. But if I say to you, you want a sculpt body, you want a healthy body, you want to be 60 years old and look and feel like in your 30s, how you going to get there? See, that's how you understand the gospel. You got to get there through deny yourself, pick up your cross, and follow Jesus. You got to start walking, taking herbs, massive amount of herbs. You got to start taking care of your skin. You got to, whatever. You got to start tightening up that thing, making sure the collagens are working, and you start getting tight. And then now, you want to know that it's not subjective. What I'm saying is objective. You go out in the street, you walk in, and some young guy walk up to you and say hi and start talking to you and chatting you up. And you'll be like, oh, really? That means I'm looking even younger. You see, it's not subjective. It's objective, what I'm saying, right? Now, if you're a guy, you walk on the street and somebody think that you're young, you're probably still in college. it's funny. You're still in college or something, or are you working? Or what is it you're doing in school? Then you understand that it's not subjective, it's objective. So this is what we want to do. So notice, what shall a man give in exchange for a soul? Some people say they'll give crack, cocaine, they'll give some money for the exchange of soul. We say, listen, the best life, so we want to live the best life. So we don't give nothing for this experience. Proverbs 26 verse 1 through 5, we covered this yesterday, I want to cover it again. As the snow in summer and as rain in harvest, so honor is not seemly for a fool. So a person is a dumb, you can't give them honor because it makes no sense. As bird by wandering, as swallow by flying, so the curse causeless shall not come. So we don't believe that, you see, as I say, you see a person dumpster diving. That person was probably in school one time. That person probably is an orphan. There's some bad thing happening along the way. It could be their fault or it could be not their fault. It could be society, their parents, death of parents. All these things create curses in our lives. The curse causes shall not come. A whip for the horse and a bridle for the ass and a rod for the fool's back. Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest you be also like him. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own conceit. So if you talk to somebody and they're foolish, I take this right now. So I was watching a piece from a news report from I think it's a Fox News or something over in California. They have Fox News in California. But anyway, some news report out of California. And there was a protest going on 2 days ago, I think it was. And what they're saying is that the protesters, and then there was a counter protest. So the protesters were parents who said that if their child is coming to school and say that they're the opposite sex, that they want the school not to intervene per se, but to inform them, right? Because it's not like school business; it's they're the control, so to speak, or they're the parents, so they need to be first informed about this issue. If a child keeps saying, "Listen," if Timmy is saying, "I'm Timet," I don't know if that's a name of a female. No, there's not a name of a female, but whatever a T name for a female. All right, and Timmy is saying that says is Timet and or Tinet or whatever, and he wants to be she. That is, school need to butt off it, and the parents need to be informed. There's a problem because Timmy's saying, "I want to go to the girls' bathroom." You want to go with it in the toilet where the girls go, probably in the cubicle too of the toilet. Um, the parent need to be informed. Probably the boys are perfect. So anyhow, but he's transitioning. But we're talking about kids now. So the counter protests were saying that no such thing. And then one of the mayor, I think, of San Bernardino was at the protest. He was for the LGBTQIA plus people. And he was saying that, two things. He's saying, what if the child is thinking if the parents inform, the child could be fearful. So you need to protect the child and don't get the parents involved. And then the other thing he was saying is that if it's nothing to do with parents or with the teachers or anything, it's to do with medical professionals. If the medical professionals diagnose that the child is transitioning and is really just trapped in the opposite sex body and they need to get out and they need to deliver them, exorcise them, then he said it's a medical diagnosis. It's not the parents' business, so to speak. And what he was saying is that if the child is consistently saying that they're of the other sex, they're persistently saying that they're of the other sex, and they're insistent on being the other sex, that it should be recognized as a valid point. The child is persistent, consistent, and insistent that they are the opposite sex. Well, it's out of the hand, I guess, of the parents. Now it's in the hand of the school, I guess. And the school should send Timmy to the girls' bathroom. So this is what's going on. So I look at that, and then this text come to mind. Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest thou be like unto him. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own conceit. These people are very foolish. All right, everything is the parents. Ain't no child that can't get a driver's license, that can't validly drink alcohol, can come to a point and they say, listen, I'm consistent and I'm persistent and I'm insistent. I am not Timmy anymore. I am Tinette or Timet or Tin whatever. When you start to deal with this type of foolishness, then you start to see where my theme is for this week. That you have to be consistent and persistent and insistent. Now you know I'm talking to. That this world is not your own. There's a bunch of crazy people walking around on this planet, and some of them in leadership in society, because they're sodomites in our society, leading our society. And that when they're persistent and consistent and insistent that they're crazy, you have to know that you have to sometimes even be willing to pull the parachute and literally take your kids out of these institutions. These institutions serve a purpose, and you use them. But when they come to a point where they become ridiculous, then you have to come to a point where you say, you know what, Ben, I have to even ignore them. This is where my ignore point come from. Because you could come to a point where you say, I'm going to have to suffer and send my child to either private school or suffer and send my child and bring my child back home to homeschool. But I will not have my child be taught by idiots. And these foolish people, they're supposed to be teaching math, English, chemistry, biology, even that is a tainted subject by these evolutionists, believe that they're gods and that they're created and that they're superior race. But you got to know that, says, listen, even if you have to suffer that way, you got to take Timmy out of that school, because there might be people in that school, a lot of weirdo bestiality people, and people that are transition into evil and madness. And you got to take them out, or you got to send them to a private school or something, because you have to be persistent and insistent and consistent with what you believe. And you understand the system has a role, but the system sometimes have berserk and crazy people in it. And you will work with it as long as it serves your purpose, but your terminal point, your agenda is different from their agenda. And you have to do a different agenda. Understand, this is crazy. This is what it is. A lot of weirdos and crazy people out there. So that's what you have to do. And there's more we could say, but I read 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeketh whom he may turn to some weirdo, some creepy person. And you can't allow that. Seeking whom he may devour. You can't be devoured. Let's pray. Our Father, what in heaven, I thank you for your word in this day. I pray that you may bless us and be with us, dear Lord, as we go through this day. And may our choices, dear Lord, be for tomorrow, that we can get better results, that will give us peace, success, and prosperity. This is my prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, thanks for being with me here on Revive Reform Radio. Looking forward to talking to you again live tomorrow. We should talk about wisdom for living. Until then, I pray that you may continue to walk with the King.